Your Uncle's Cycling Highlights brings you a world exclusive on doping in the dirtiest sewers of professional cycling. This is the first part of our dossier on doping in Portuguese cycling, one of the most rotten scenes worldwide. This exclusive comes after having access to the legal proceedings of the Maynar case. The same case for which the UCI and the Astana team sanctioned for 4 years the Colombian coconut oil Lopez for the use of menotropin in the Giro d'Italia 2022, and the case in which the legendary sports director Vicente Belda-Vicedo and his son, Masseur Vicente Belda-Garcia, have also been involved. The media have told you that part, the part about the Colombian and the Spaniards, the part that sells the most. But there's another part. One that's also pending judicial resolution that involves more characters and more professional teams. And here, unlike those media outlets, we're going to tell you all about it, because we want equal justice for all. Will Selfie Lepation do anything about it? Let us know in the comments what you think, after watching the video to the end, of course. Subscribe to the channel for more cycling content, and now let's put a little bit of context of this exclusive at your fingertips. This is the story of 3 characters. Dr. Marcos Maynar Marinho, professor at the University of Extremadura in the Faculty of Sports Science for 30 years, who's known for having failed when trying to defend dopers such as the footballer Carlos Curpegui or the Vuelta a España champion cyclist and dangerous criminal Aitor González. And he's also known for being the doctor of the legendary LA Aluminios MSS team, where the Portuguese cyclist Bruno Neves died after suffering a cardiac arrest caused, according to the Portuguese Cycling Federation, by the medical advice of Dr. Maynar. He was sanctioned for 9 years in Portugal. He's also known for being the man who prescribed menotropin and coconut oil to Coconut Oil Lopez in that infamous Giro d'Italia 2022. The second character is Ignacio Bartolomé Sanchez. From now on, we'll refer to him as Nacho Bartolo. At the time, he was the substitute professor at the Pontifical University of Salamanca and a doctor of the University of Extremadura, an academic disciple of Maynar who collaborates with him as part of the negotiations that you're going to see, exclusively so. The third and most dangerous character is Ruben Tiago Alves Pereira, current director of the Portuguese structure Full Racing, that is the team formerly known as FAPEL. At the time of the facts of this exclusive, it was known as Glass Drive, and currently Sabgal Anicolor. That is, he's the director of the team that has won the 2024 Volta Portugal, and one of the best known and most popular teams in Portugal for the last 20 years. Ruben Tiago Alves Pereira is the one who's plugged in, a connected chap. Only 28 years of age, but he can access the sports management of Full Racing thanks to his dad, Carlos Manuel de Jesus Pereira, a former Portuguese sprinter who ended up being the CEO and sports director of Full Racing in 2003, leading FAPEL to heights never seen in its history, with dopers like Raul Alacon, Nuno Ribeiro or André Cardoso in its ranks. In 2020, he sent his son, Ruben Tiago Pereira, to Spain to take the course of sports director, and then the following year he began to lead FAPEL, so that old Carlos Manuel Pereira just occupies the role of CEO, dedicated to earning rich money, organising races like the Figueira Classic, where Selfie Lepation has raised it to UCI Pro Series category this year, and whose current champion is Focus in Evenepoel. In other words, we're talking about the son of one of the most powerful and influential guys in Portuguese cycling, a man who also enjoys powerful status as a sports director. Well, you've met the cast. Just what have these 3 characters done? In the judicial proceedings to which we have had access, conversations are observed through WhatsApp and Telegram groups from the 2022 season, conversations between these 3 characters. In one of them, in February, we observe how Ruben Pereira asks Marcos Maynar for advice so that his cyclists don't test positive for betamethasone, a classic drug in Portuguese cycling, with which many cyclists of the Porto team tested positive in the 2019 Volta Portugal. Professor Maynar, the same one who believes he is being persecuted for being from Extremadura and that the Portuguese Federation have unjustly punished him after the death of Bruno Neves, tells the then inexperienced Ruben Pereira that instead of beta-methasone, on the day of the race, he should smear hydrocortisone ointment, forbidden corticoids, on the perineum of the 20-year-old Pedro Silva, so that if Pedro Silva passes the anti-doping control, the doctor can justify a posteriori that the cyclist was sick and needed to take those forbidden corticoids. An unequivocal proof that the TUE system that cyclists like low-cost Lance or the White Kenyan took advantage of is a real scourge in the fight against doping. It seems that if you have to make up a justification for your doping, you just do it. In another conversation, in April, Maynar, Nacho Bartolo and Ruben Pereira talked about the police raids in Operation Prova Limpia, the same one in which they destroyed for life the Porto team and took down its sports director Nuno Ribeiro, the same cyclist who was part of Ruben Pereira's father's team, sanctioned for 25 years for trafficking, administration and possession of prohibited substances. In the conversation, we observe Ruben Pereira extremely nervous about the presence of 120 policemen in his hotel. He said it was a worse raid than anything seen at the Festina affair. Maynar and Nacho Bartolo tried to calm him down, urging the Portuguese director to clean all the contents of their smartphones and their homes. And then Ruben tells them not to worry, that he's taken care of everything and that, unlike Porto, his team had been able to prove absolute cleanliness. Absolutely mafia-like behaviour between doctors and sporting directors, hiding evidence from the Portuguese police, something acknowledged by themselves in these conversations. It's scandalous, isn't it? Now, some of you may wonder, what are the economic terms of these agreements between doctors related to doping stories and sports directors? And in this, well, Maynar, Nacho Bartolo and Ruben Pereira delight us with a hilarious negotiation in February for costs for the Spanish professor's services after such a successful 2021 season. A season where, thanks to the good doctor's services, the FFL team conquered the Joaquim Agostinho Trophy with the suspicious Frederico Figueiredo. There were 6 stages of the Volta Portugal and the general classification of the Volta Alentejo, and second place in the Volta Portugal with the fainting Moreira, the Uruguayan rider of whom we made a video after his hilarious Volta Portugal 2024. Ruben Pereira, who has undergone a change of sponsor from FFL to Glassdrive, uses that excuse to request a price of €11,000 fixed for Maynar's services. Services which include, on the one hand, training plans, special training of course for 3 cyclists of the team for the entire season. The aforementioned Maurizio Moreira, whose training was spectacular because in 2022 he won the Volta Portugal. And then there are the suspects we will talk about in part 2 of this video, Frederico Figueiredo and Luis Mendonça. On the other hand, there was treatment for the other 5 cyclists that form the Volta Portugal team exclusively for that race, helping the Spaniard Hector Saez to lose weight quickly and helping the young Afonso Eulalio to learn how those training plans work exactly, as well as providing the team with some pills that Ruben Pereira calls homemade, like the capsules that Maynar made with stimulants such as caffeine and theophylline, which Pereira calls bombs. The Spanish Druids concoctions were created for the Portuguese team. At the same time, Ruben Pereira asks for Dr. Maynar's help in finalising the negotiation if he finds new ways to improve performance for the most important events. Now, Nacho Bartolo, an avid negotiator, reminds Ruben Pereira that he still owed him €4,000 from the previous season and that Maynar is taking a lot of risks for only €11,000, of which 7,000 were just for the medicines he provided them with. It is the doctor himself who believes that his aids that he makes himself are worth a great deal more, and that there are more teams interested in his methods, something which is, of course, an absolute fallacy, since the only team with which this doctor has collaborated was the Spanish Caja Rural, as you have known for months. But then, Nacho Bartolo takes advantage of Maynar's bluff and makes a counter-proposal to Ruben Pereira, reaching an agreement for €12,000 fixed, with a 4,000 extra bonus if the team wins the Volta Portugal, which happened, and €500 more for each of the victories in important Portuguese races, such as the Alentejo or the Agostinho Trophy. That's how much it costs to win a Volta Portugal, approximately €18,000. Ruben Pereira was able to request premium services to improve Mauricio Moreira and the rest of his riders for that paltry sum. It's not that much, is it really? And well, for these amounts, these people are risking sanctions and even prison sentences in certain countries, so they push it to the limit. But still, Ruben Pereira has returned Marcos Maynar to Portuguese cycling. Perhaps that's what really motivates the Spanish doctor, to return to the place where he was disqualified, even if he's doing it remotely, and make real monsters capable of winning their races. A delayed revenge is worth much more than €18,000. The conversations are so eloquent, they even indicate how Maynar and Nacho Bartolo are trafficking these prohibited substances to Portuguese territory. Nacho Bartolo himself tells Ruben Pereira that it's impossible for Maynar to go to Portugal because the Portuguese Federation has him under surveillance, despite him having served his sanction. And then they reach an agreement so that the pills, including the famous caffeine and theophylline bombs, are sent by MRW, an instant courier company. Can you imagine receiving doping substances by Amazon? Well, these are the rudimentary methods of these characters. There aren't any great, grand, train-spotting style concealment plots. Oh, these professors, they're such smart fellows. And they send all these substances by courier services. It's absolutely hilarious. This is the method that they use on different occasions and in different directions. If Ruben Pereira needs injectable caffeine, for example, Marcos Maynar sends it by MRW to the Glass Drive Team Hotel just before the Volta Algarve time trial. But perhaps the strongest proof is the real, physical existence of a prescription signed by Dr. Marcos Maynar himself, as you can see in the pictures. A prescription for 10 vials of HMG hormone, also known as menotropin, a classic doping drug, capable of stimulating the testicles to produce more testosterone, which Ruben Pereira needs for the Alentejo. In other words, Maynar writes the prescriptions and Nacho Bartolo sends them to Portugal through Courier Services, allowing Ruben Pereira to prepare his cyclists on Portuguese soil. Well, with all this evidence, in addition to that already published by other media concerning Coconut Oil Lopez, you're already seeing it's not just a relationship with the superstar, but a relationship with an entire professional team. We wonder if the new director of the Spanish anti-doping agency, Silvia Celon, will be able to suspend Dr. Maynar in Spain. We wonder if the rector of the University of Extremadura, Pedro Fernandez Salguero, will keep Dr. Maynar in his position as he has done so far, and will he continue to boast of having Nacho Bartolo as a doctorate from his excellent university? A university rotten with characters like these, it seems. We wonder if the Portuguese Cycling Federation will suspend Ruben Tiago Alves Pereira, as it did with Nuno Ribeiro. If the director will dare to cross the border to Spain, which we see that he does not do in the conversations, confined to Portugal, without going with the team to Spanish competitions. And we will wonder if Selfie Lapation himself will take action, and not just be content to suspend Coconut Oil Lopez. But just in case he doesn't do anything, well, we ask you to spread this video and share it. Let this exclusive reach as many people as possible. Because we have more, you know. Oh yes. Tomorrow, we will release a new second installment. Tick, tock, tick, tock. Dear cheaters, for you, the sands of time are running low.